Yeah, we'll just do a real quick grounding. So we'll just, everybody, if you would, if you can, just put your feet flat on the floor, open posture, straight, soft back. Take a couple of deep breaths. Inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth. Inhaling the white light breath of life and exhaling all that does not serve us in our highest and best interest. Feel your body relax. We take this moment to be in our bodies, recognizing that we are spiritual beings having this human experience. Right now, we are bringing the two together as one and operating as one. We give thanks for this vessel that we call our human body that carries our magnificent spirits that have been called here for the greater good of our fellow brothers and sisters and animals and Mother Earth. We take this moment to pull together creative consciousness, that we share our experience, strength, hope, creativity with one another, that we may inspire as well as be inspired on this day and all days going forward, that we remember and practice the truth of our beingness, of why we are here, not just for ourselves, but for the greater good of all life on this planet. We give thanks for this day for each other, and we go forth in love. And so it is.
It is. Thank you.
Hopefully you could hear that.
Yeah, good job.
Okay, good. Okay, so I just wanted to check in with each of you first to say, how are you feeling inspired today? If we had a measurement, a Geiger instrument, how are you feeling inspired today, each of you? Do you feel inspired today? Is it a struggle to be inspired? Where are you at?
I'm inspired by Charlie and his ventures. He's doing the world tour right now. Are you leaving us? No? Okay. He's acknowledging that we're inspired by him.
What does inspiration look like on a daily basis for you guys?
Something that enriches my soul and my spirit. Uh, I like to think that maybe I'm about 9 out of 10 on an inspiration scale, because you are what you listen to, what you think, and whatever. And I try to cram as much positive stuff in my head in a day, not negating all the crap that's out there, but I like to cling on to the hope. Maybe I'm an eternal optimist. I don't know, but I try to uh, go to bed with a good feeling on my heart. And a lot of the time, it's watching. I love to go to bed watching comedies, because I figure it's really good for my heart to go to bed with a laugh on it.
Mhm.
And I try to be inspired in everything I see, and even tragedy. This was what you learn working in the funeral home. You never do understand death, but you certainly learn to appreciate and cling on to life. And that's what kind of inspires me, like all you folks inspire me. And people I meet on a daily basis inspire me as well.
Thank you. In recognizing that as ministers and bishops for the Madonna ministry, we come into this discussion already aware that we're all operating to some larger or less degree, depending on where we are in our human experience, as chosen to be vessels of inspiration for others. And more of my curiosity is knowing that we are already operating at a higher level of consciousness than, let's say, an average person who's not done this work, not interested in the work, not aware of the work. It's not about who's better or what. We all play a part in life, including those who choose to not be um, on the same path as us. So I really kind of wanted to just get a feel for where you are at today, coming into today as a minister of the Madonna ministry with your, are you even feeling inspired today, especially in today's culture? Kevin, that was excellent. I love that. And that's going to segue into the tools that we use to tap into inspiration for ourselves and others.
So I'm at an 8, I want to say.
Excellent.
For me, starting out, like even before the meeting, it was already a good feeling to be able to connect with you guys because that energy is, I always tell people, energy is contagious. You're feeling good and I'm talking to you, that good energy, those good vibes spread to me. And with us doing the grounding, the little meditation, I always try to do like gratitude meditations every morning or before I go to bed. And that's because it connects me with myself, with my spirit, um, my energy, and the flow of just everything, right? And so that keeps me elevated. It keeps me thankful. It keeps me in connection with myself. And so I continue to be inspired because inspiration is a feeling. It is just, to me, being in that flow and that connection with everything. And people tend to lose that when they focus on more worldly things. And when I say that, what's happening here and there, and although we need to be informed, don't get me wrong, but they get caught up in that instead of thinking of the bigger picture, right? They get caught up in these lower vibrational feelings, and so they lose their inspiration. And that is what I'm trying to find the right words, because I always think of things and feel things. I feel the energy of it, but that's what gets them in that lower vibrational state, in those lower places that affect not only their psyche, but their physical and so on and so forth. For me, meditation is key, as well as the different things. Like when I knew you were going to be our speaker for today, that inspired me as someone who is very earth-based and tapping into those energies and so on and so forth. And I feel like I'm babbling, but just I see the connection. It's hard to explain it, but I feel like you guys know where I'm coming from with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Laura, how about you? Where are you at with inspiration in your life?
I'm having trouble with that, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Good topic. I am inspired by all of you, and I'm so glad I came on today. I just haven't been feeling good for a couple of weeks now, And I don't know, I can't even really explain it, but I need to be around people. Being alone these days at my age, I get nervous when I get sick, when I don't feel good.
Yeah.
So I need to be around people. People inspire me. And I'm like Kevin too. When I go to bed at night, I turn on this channel called Rewind. That's all the old half-hour sitcoms. I can just laugh. And yeah, laughter is really important. And like I went with some friends last night to see the fireworks from our town, and that was fun. That was inspiring. So people inspire me. So right now today I'd say I'm probably around a 5 right now, but I'm hoping it'll get better.
So I'll share real quick, just transparency. I'm very, very grateful to have been asked and tasked with opening this series of Inspiring the Inspired, which I hope will go forward as a series. Because I myself have been struggling for quite some time with inspiration, and I take complete accountability for it because, happiness and inspiration, it's an inside job. And when I look back at the root, I stopped practicing my daily diligent affirmations before I even got up to go to the bathroom in the morning, a meditation, a mindful walk. I same thing as Kevin, I make sure to infuse myself with inspiring content. And I found that somewhere along the line, I lost that connection, that deeper connection. And I know the reason why I did. And there's no blame. It's just taking a look at the root cause and realizing that I myself need to get back into not only the practice, but going further and pushing myself further in not dealing with the plateau, because I believe that the reason that I was able to be vulnerable to losing my step is because I plateaued in my spiritual practice, and I didn't push myself anymore to read more or to explore more, to do more. And I got into the daily grind of work for the almighty dollar, keep a roof over your head, the whole thing. And I got into that buying into that. So coming into this yesterday, it was all that was on my mind, was inspiring the inspired. And what does that look like for me? Anyway, long story short, it had a dramatic positive effect on me from yesterday, even coming into today. Of now, I feel I've inspired myself again because I've had to do this talk and kind of direct this, what is inspiring the inspired content. And I appreciate, Laura, your honesty about that, because I too can struggle with, I think as an empath, see, that was the thing I felt that you were describing. As empaths, it can be very challenging to not absorb the environment, not even the global of what's going on, but even the minutia of the communities that we live in. And that can be even work, because I know I work in an environment where it's a struggle to remain, not to engage in gossip, not to engage in judging, and just more lower energy type behaviors. And it's hard not to get sucked into that when that's all that's around me. So like you, I purposely live very isolated in a beautiful place. But I have to remember too, like Katrina said, connection is key for sustaining, and it's like oxygen. It's like a fresh air. I can do my part, and I will always do my part and be accountable for my part in my own happiness and inspiration, but I need to connect with other individuals. So I basically, what is inspiring, my segue into inspiring the inspired. So this is what I sat with yesterday in mindfulness. And in Googling some things, this is kind of what I came up with. Not that I wrote all of this for transparency purposes. cut, pasted, and put together things that I found. But basically, inspiring the inspired is encouraging those who are already motivated and creative to reach even greater heights. It's about fostering a cycle where inspiration fuels further inspiration, creating a ripple effect of creativity and action. It's not just about being inspired, but about actively using that inspiration to inspire others, leading to a continuous loop of positive influence. So inspiring is the act of influencing or stimulating someone else to feel inspired. Essentially, it's about being a catalyst for further inspiration rather than just passively receiving it. So the difference between inspiring and motivating comes from within. So motivation comes from within, which is what I was just describing, that I will get back. I'm motivated to get back into my grounding practices to create my inspiration, and inspiring compels others into action. And so in thinking on this, I thought, as far as the Madonna ministry goes, where we could collectively come together as a group is individually looking at our lives on a daily basis and going, one, am I feeling inspired for myself in my life? And if not, what steps am I willing to take to get back into feeling inspired? And two, as ministers of the Madonna ministry, we seek, as ministers, I feel, at the root cause is to inspire others for change, not change that we see, but change that people see within themselves because they're inspired. The biggest inspiration always, as any 12-step program will tell you, always comes in doing the acts for ourselves, inspires other people to do for themselves, okay? And that's kind of how I've always looked at it. And of course, again, I'll tell you my favorite motto that I came up with is, everybody is a messenger, but we're not messengers for everybody. So I go into my daily life recognizing that every opportunity for conversation, every opportunity, especially in today's culture. When I was in the grocery store the other day, I was very aware of how many times somebody looked up at me as I looked at them, and I looked away. I didn't used to be a person who looked away. I used to lock eyes and smile. Somewhere along the line, I caught up with what everybody else was doing. It's like, look away, oh, don't make eye contact. It makes people uncomfortable. And that's kind of the segue into this about how far I have slid back in my daily practice, and now realizing the essence of who I am is screaming at me internally to step forward into my light and stop playing small, stop dimming my light so that other people feel comfortable in my presence. Okay. This is basically what I'm kind of presenting to you all today through my own self, is getting back in touch with, it's great that we're feeling inspired. And for those of you who feel connected and feel inspired, the next step would be, what are you willing to do, or what do you already do that you feel is an opportunity for inspiring others on a daily basis? What does that look like for you? What do you feel that you're already doing that could be used as inspiration? And I say could be because, you know, we're not responsible for how people receive what we're doing. But if you're doing the act of handing over the opportunity for inspiration for somebody else, what does that look like?
Wow. I just came out of a conference where we had several different panels, and it was all about the environment and being in conscious positivity about life and getting back to nature's laws, etc. There was a panel on women that was really compelling, and it was about that Sophia century that I've shared with you before, where women are rising to take their equal place. And in this bird of humanity, the wings are starting to work in tandem so that there's balance across masculine, feminine, um, just ways of being and acceptance in the world. And that not only is going to inspire this whole worldly, chaos that's going on right now. But one of the things I took away from it was, yeah, myself is screaming at myself too. It's like, stop playing small. I love that. And so what I did was I offered to bring an intern into a couple of my clients' work, and she's going to be working with the rebranding of Madonna Ministry as well. But as I was creating this creative brief, this plan for her to come in and assist us, I thought, I'm giving this woman a beautiful opportunity to increase her resume, increase her reach, her creativity, just be an inspiring person because she had lack of confidence. And so it's like, as I was just giving her these duties that were going to help me, I thought,
Great.
I'm giving her a wonderful opportunity here. And she's so excited. And it's like, wow, I didn't even know I was doing that. So it goes a full circle.
Excellent. Hmm. And then just hearing the level of connection that you had in your awareness and the excitement from just hearing the tone in your voice, it has uplifted you as well to be
Yeah.
able to be
Yeah.
in that position.
Yeah. Yeah.
Excellent.
Hmm.
Who else? What are we doing? And if you're not or aware of it, that's fine too, because really this is kind of a workshop on recognizing what I'm doing, what I'm not doing, and what I can do better. If you so feel inspired after this talk to do so.
I think for me, it's teaching and counseling. So with everything that I do, when I do readings and when I do different meditations, the just everything that I do has an aspect of helping people find balance within themselves. So that is what I love to do no matter what it is, whether it's a product that they're applying or an incense or, like I said, the meditations or the readings. Everything comes with a holistic aspect to it that helps people find balance. Um, Inspiration, something that uplifts them or something that they need to recognize within themselves when they're ready that they need to release whatever it is that helps them find balance. And so I could be doing that better. This talk, I mean, I've already had my ideas of what I want to do, but that's what brings me joy and inspiration and actually also helps me find balance within myself. So that is what I could be doing better. And I'm already thinking of different things that I am going to do because I'm a big procrastinator. Oh,
Kevin,
go
what
ahead.
about you? I don't know what your life looks like on a daily basis. Do you retired or do you have interactions with people during the day?
Not a lot, not but over the years I've had a pile of interactions with other people leading human rights causes and that sort of thing. And at that time, I was higher up on the inspiration level, but I tried to make my life an inspiration. And just the fact that I'm breathing isn't an inspiration. I had people write me off 1990 sort of thing, and they look at me and go, "Oh my God, I'm amazed you're still living. Do you remember what you looked like?" Well, you don't need to remind me, but just the fact that I'm breathing and uh there's nobody that talks to me that doesn't know where I stand spiritually. And I'm really free to share it, whether
Mhm.
or not they want to adopt it or not. But I'm putting my idea forward, and you can do what you want with it. And I have people tell me that it makes a difference when I don't even know I'm doing it. And it's nice to hear that feedback months down the road, kind of thing. And
Sure.
so I hope that my life is inspiring. I want them to look at me and say, I want a piece of that.
That's great. That's wonderful. And I think too about generationally, as we age, as I age, I look at my aging and what's ahead potentially. And I think that, like you, when I was younger, I was much more active in protests and standing up for things and organization and things of that nature. And I think at some point, for some people, physically or whatever, geographically, they're not capable or able to participate at that level. And I want to be clear that holding the space, holding the consciousness, holding the energy within our bodies, and releasing that out to the ethers of the universe in and of itself is extremely powerful. It's like the butterfly effect, right? I was going to look that up yesterday. Are you guys all familiar with the butterfly effect, that the one butterfly um, flaps its wings over in Indonesia, and then how that wind just increases through the oceans and comes over to our side? It's just recognizing that the power, it seems so little and insignificant, but it's not. There's things that we all can do as we age and as our lives start to look different. And then so one of the other things I wanted to challenge is in regard to this is more of a whole body or a whole life challenge of inspiration. I mentioned earlier about plateaus, and I wonder if any of you could relate to living a life out of balance. I know I've broached this topic before. So my understanding of spirituality is mind, body, and spirit, okay? And the merging of all three of those so that we live more fully and wholly. And obviously the human experience would challenge us. There are some people that have emotional and mental disorders. There are people with physiological challenges, autoimmune diseases, things of that nature. And anything that I'm about to say does not undermine those realities. More of what I want to say is that there are plenty of people who, Christopher Reeve would be a perfect example of somebody who wanted to die after his horse riding accident, and he was paraplegic, and he had to undergo a tremendous mindset to accept himself and his body, which I'm sure he felt betrayed him. He went from Superman to a paraplegic. And to me, that's an amazing story of how he chose to still be a positive contributing member of society and be there for his family and life, even though he had experienced diminished capabilities. So even though we all have our own semblance of issues, human issues that are legitimate, I'm still putting forth a call to you all to delve deeper. And I also want to recognize too that, for some, and maybe for some who hear this recording, some of you are in your elder years, and as I get closer to the elder years, the number goes higher because I'm climbing higher. So I no longer see the 60s in their elder years. So let's just say maybe the mid 70s to the 80s on up would be the elder years. I think it could be very easy for people to feel like I've done my part. I've done the work, and you have, and I've put forth a lot of effort. Now it's just, I want to sit back. But I think if we're called to be ministers at any age, there's still a call to introspection, house cleaning, and where can I make improvements? And some of what I would encourage you to look at would be Kevin said earlier about the piece, being inspired about positive content, and that's what you're ingesting. You're ingesting positive content so that you feel inspired. So then, without getting into it, I will just say maybe take the opportunity, some of you, where it's appropriate, is to take a look at what you're ingesting in your body too, because of all the hormones and antibiotics and chemicals and things of nature that are in our food today. Maybe stepping further away from that, because they do biologically and physiologically have a negative impact on our body. And God knows, years of eating that way, we see that we have health challenges in relation to that. And so to me, that's incongruent. So if we're focusing on our spiritual lives for the betterment of humanity, but we're not caretaking for ourselves, we're failing ourselves at that level. Again, not about perfection, and we can only do what we can only do based on where we're at today. And I understand that. So I don't want anybody to feel shamed or uncomfortable. I'm trying to inspire, like I've lived, saying to yourself, I've lived this way coming into today. I eat this way. I don't exercise. I do exercise. This to me is the body care portion of it, right? So we read and we ingest things that are positive, that are inspiring, and that's great for the mind part, maybe the spirit part. We give back to the communities, we give back to our family and friends, the spirit part, that's great. Then there's that body part that just kind of, and to me, it creates a divide between here and the spirit that I would encourage you all to explore on your own. And that's, unless somebody has thoughts on that, that's really all I wanted to say, to challenge people to really explore the relationship between food and your mind, emotional mind, and physiologically your body, and how you feel. And if you're suffering from rheumatoid arthritis or diabetes or anything like that, they're changing one's food could have a lot to help offset your suffering with that. But a reason I brought that up, Nikki, is thank you, is because you and Katrina both had acknowledged my earthiness, and I am a big old tree hugging, earthy hippie person, and I believe that our human experience is wrought with challenges, and I believe that the challenges are not for us to say, oh, well, sit back and go, oh, well, that's just the way it is and nothing I can do about it. And I would challenge people here, if you feel so inclined. All right, I'm just going to say this. I know that we're all smart and we're all ministers and very well read in the world, but I'm going to just put this out here. If we're not taking care of ourselves, and I'm using we because I'm calling myself out on myself, if we're not taking care of ourselves better, again, not perfection, then there's something internally off about our relationship with ourselves. And I would hope that after today, some people would, okay, you matter, you make a difference in this life. And I want to acknowledge that you all make a difference in this life for other people. I want you to make a difference in your own lives by looking at your lives introspectively and going, how could I be better? Because I deserve to be better. Okay? Just to do your best. And we're here for one another for that, because I think that there's always higher levels of, there's just too many stories of inspiration of people that have overcome tremendous. Louise Hay is one who overcame stage 4 cancer by changing her mindset. I actually am not sure what she ate, but I think she didn't pollute herself with chemicals. But I just think that if we could, I think that in order for us to actually be inspirational for other human beings, we always have to also, it's a cycle of what I'm putting out, I have to take back in, because in order to give, I have to receive it, right? And so I'm encouraging you to start feeding yourselves, mind, body, and spirit, more generously and more with love than habit. Because I think that what we're doing is we're living in habit. Even at certain levels of spiritual enlightenment, it's very easy to just stay here and not push forward. So I would ask us to push forward. Now, that said, I want to present an idea to you all that I had about what's a pretty simple, easy, not really task oriented, meaning time consuming, because I know there are a few of us here that are already overtasked, God knows, with our time. So in my research last night, I remembered a long time ago that I had belonged or subscribed to a national group called the Pay It Forward Foundation. And then from there, that led me to the Be Kind project, I think is what it's called. Oh, not too far.
There was a kindness campaign.
Yeah, it's the Pay It Forward Foundation and then the Be Kind project. And so basically what they do is, and so here's what I would like for us to do. One of the tools that they use for spreading goodness in the world is they develop little business cards, literally just little business cards. And then what they put on the front of the back is sayings that you leave, like at a restaurant, or you give to somebody, or if you go to the car wash, or whatever, where you're interacting with the public and you leave it, or even if you're in the grocery store and you just strategically leave it out for somebody to see, because somebody's going to need to see that message. And the messages are all different, like be kind, pay it forward. Those are the simple ones. And I got to thinking, what if we came up with some little sayings for ourselves and design these cards? So just one that came off the top of my head that I thought of was, let's say on the front of the card, when the person first sees the card that you leave for them, it says, and I'm just asking your feedback. It came up two ways for me. You matter was going to be on the front. That was the first thing that came to mind to me. You matter. And on the back, when they flip it over, it says, you made a difference in my life today. Thank you. Or on the front of the card, I could put, you make a difference. And then on the back, put, you made a difference in my life today. Thank you. What do you guys feel about that?
Love it.
I like that idea.
I would like for that to be a project of the Madonna Ministry that we all share in and do within our own communities. And we can always, start talking about, or maybe just share different designs. Somebody design a design and come up with a little, slogan that we can share with one another. And so that was just my idea that came to me last night to, the saying for the card. But to me, this is why this is big. That is something that is so little and so easy, but yet has the opportunity to be so profoundly effective for somebody who needs to see that on that day, in that moment, because they're struggling and they feel invisible and they feel like nobody's, watching, and then just pay it forward. So I was out at I think a Denny's several months ago eating by myself, which I do most things by myself and I'm fine with it. And I'm sitting there, but I was gazing across the room and I noticed an older woman sitting there by herself, and I'm just reading her energy, and it was kind of benign. It wasn't she didn't seem like she was sad, per se, but I didn't detect, joy or real strength from her either. She was just sitting there eating alone. So I called over my waitress and I told her I would pick up her paycheck. And I said, I want to do so anonymously. Please don't, say who. That's not what it's about. She said, okay. So I'm right in alignment with watching her reaction. So the waitress goes over to her when it was time to give her the check, and the woman said, I'll take the check. And she's explaining to her, oh, somebody picked up your tab. She had to repeat it 3 times because the woman, it was incredulous to her. And she didn't understand. And she said, wait, I don't have to pay for it? And the woman said, no, somebody paid for it. And she just touched her heart and she goes, oh my God. Now I'm looking down, but I'm using my peripheral vision to watch her because I don't want her to detect that, that it was me. When I tell you that the hairs stood up on my head and I had my eyes teared up, and not because me for what I did, but because I got to witness the effect. She was just so dumbstruck that somebody would do this for her. And I don't know, I just think that we need more of those types of opportunities. Had I had one of the cards with me, I would have given it to the waitress to hand it to her to say, pay it forward, kind of a thing. But that's the pay it forward movement, is the understanding that if we all do at least one good, kind deed and ask somebody in the opportunity when they say, oh my God, that's so wonderful, just say, hey, pay it forward. Do something nice for somebody else today, wherever you can, So I'd like for us to take on that little project as a group, even though it's, it's not necessarily our original idea, but How do you guys feel about us taking that on as a ministry?
I love it.
I
Like,
I like that. Yeah.
yeah.
And relying on the fact that the divine will put it in the hands of the people that need it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that end of it is already taken care of, you know.
What also came to
Absolutely.
mind is Laura's making the bears, and I'm thinking, paying it forward, she could be teaching how to do that. She could be doing video courses on it so other people could pick up that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I keep wondering who's going to do this when I'm gone.
Right, right. Yeah.
Well, that would be a nice, you know what? I really like that idea. I think again that would be another nice project for the ministry and
Hmm.
a wonderful legacy, Laura, for you to leave to us that we could ensure that moves forward, much like the awakening process for Shirley is getting that
Yeah.
going and honoring our ministers and the work that they've done and the contribution that they have made. I think we need to start setting more of an intention of doing that for one another, and
And
because we
inspiring
matter.
each other to keep
Yeah,
going. Yeah.
because we matter, and we need to start living our lives as though we matter and not just everything and everybody else. We matter too, and not from a place of consumption, but a place from receiving that which we're giving out or that we wish to see happen in the world, right?
Yeah.
Is to
Yeah.
be better stewards for ourselves and the earth. So, like Nikki, I know that we share a passion for sustainable earth.
Mhm.
And again, I would just say, and not knowing, I don't know anybody here personally, so I'm just throwing a dart in there because I know my own personal struggles, and I know that I'm not unique on this planet, and that more than likely there's others of you who relate to what I'm saying. In that, when we recognize that we have a passion for something outside of ourselves, I'm encouraging us to bring the focus back to ourselves and go, am I willing to invest in myself as much as I'm willing to invest in those things outside of myself? Because we all recognize that we are all one, right? We're all part of the one earth, the one creator, the one spirit, the one. So quantum physics wise, we're all made up the same matter, and we're all one. And so in a way, it almost doesn't really make sense to focus outside of ourselves to do goodness there when we're not willing to also do the goodness here. So that's what I've got. I thank you so much for your time. I know we have a little bit, a few minutes. If anything struck anybody, or and certainly if somebody's disturbed by anything that I said or felt off, I'd appreciate that feedback too.
No, I thought it was very
Sometimes,
inspiring. Go ahead, Laura.
sometimes when I go through Dunkin' Donut drive-through, I just keep the change and put it to the next person's bill.
Excellent, excellent. Yep.
And I did the same thing one time. I was with some friends though, and we were at a 99, and this little old woman came with a cane and sat in this booth all by herself. She had a little glass of wine, and she fell asleep. Boom. She fell asleep right at the table. And so when we asked the waitress, please give us her check. We'd like to pay for her dinner. So we did. Just felt good.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah. And I love teaching Reiki classes. I've been teaching quite a bit lately, and I love doing that.
Hmm.
And you don't, Caitlin, you don't know her, and I don't, Kevin doesn't either, but I did Alice's funeral service, and I just, her only family come from North Carolina, so they don't know anybody
Yeah.
here, and they couldn't take her off of life support until her brother arrived because he's her next of kin. And if, I, I miss her so much already.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I called the the niece, Alice's niece, was they were very close, and she came up with her dad, Alice's brother, and I contacted them, and I said, you know, if you need somebody to do the service, I'd be happy to do it, because they were just gonna pick somebody off of a list at the funeral home. And I'm like, I'd rather I do it. It'll be hard, but I'd rather I do it than some perfect stranger that didn't even know her,
Yeah.
you know? So I did do that. And Helena
Wow.
read a poem too.
Yeah.
So that feels really good to
Yeah.
do like that.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
She was so touched when she got ordained in Arizona. I remember that.
And was such a wonderful person. 40 years as a nurse, NICU unit, and one of the stories I told at her funeral I thought was really cool. One, it was inspiring. She, when I had my knee surgery, she went with me, and she stayed with me at the house overnight. But she went with me when I went to get my stitches out, and it wasn't my doctor; it was someone else to take the stitches out. And she came with me, and the guy said, "I know you," to Alice.
Uh,
"I know you. You were a nurse in the NICU unit when my baby was born, and you
Wow.
saved her life. And thank you
wow.
so much." I was
Wow.
like, "Oh, wow." You know,
Mhm.
because she touched someone so long ago. His daughter is like 20, and so that's how long ago it was, but he remembered her, and that I just thought that's so cool.
Very cool. Nice. Yeah, there's also a campaign in Melbourne where people are emailing a tree. It's an email a tree campaign where there's a forum of people who are sharing their stories about how they're learning to tune into tree energy and to get to
Wow.
know the trees on their block or where they walk every day or where they go to work. And so they have these full-on conversations with other people about getting to know trees and nature, and it's really cool.
Mhm.
I kind of like that about, inspiring, that's the word,
I love,
others through
I love.
your actions. Yeah.
I did a tree energy workshop at the Spiritualist Church a couple years ago, and it was amazing. And ever since then, I look at trees all the time.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can figure out how old they are. And oh,
What
that
their
one's really
stories are.
old.
Yeah.
Yeah, really cool. I love it.
And
I
you
would do
mentioned,
it
yeah,
again.
yeah. And
Like we
ca-
went into the tree in our mind. We went into the tree and went up to the top to the leaves to see what that felt like.
uh-huh,
And then the next time we went down into the roots to see what that felt like. It was
that's
fascinating.
awesome.
Loved
Yeah.
it.
The inspiring idea makes me think almost. We talked at one time, we talked about having various ministers train other ministers who were seeking out our videos. And if we could adopt our number one motto would be to inspire, to make those lessons inspiring, and not just a lesson, but an inspiring lesson. That's just an idea I thought of combining the two projects in one aspect.
Yeah. I think we're talking about like a mentorship or
Yeah.
like, the person that brings somebody in and ordains them. That's kind of their sponsor or their mentor in a way, but having maybe a different organization of that because those relationships don't always stick. And so I just wonder if there's a way that we can each be accountable to each other, even in a circle. It doesn't have to be one on one. It can be you give something to me, I give something to someone else, and it goes all right, all around. Um, but I'm thinking about the messages on the card, and I remember going through an exercise where I used to leave crystals or little stones or whatever in places where people would find them and have joy about it. And so it's like just giving these little treasures. It was a treasure hunt, is where we were going and putting treasure out instead of going to find treasure. And in doing that, it inspired others to do the same. So
I have a bowl of stones, all different kinds of stones, right at my front door. And when anybody comes to visit, take a stone, please, when you leave.
that's cool.
So the kind of the message that I'm getting listening to everybody is, or I should say, what came to me is, I think what the world culturally needs right now is a very concentrated effort of loving acts of kindness. And because of the divide, it's very difficult to speak with certain individuals because of their level of defensiveness right now that we're experiencing. And so instead of, when the opportunity presents itself, obviously, to have a conversation with someone, I think never miss that opportunity. But I think of what's something that's really just as impactful, but more passive, would be the cards and the messages. So I guess I encourage us all to, maybe we can share via email card messages, that we're doing, or maybe people can start sharing their card or their design or whatever. And then we can start printing them out and getting them out there, and then sharing our experience of that. But I really think that we, as a project for the ministry as a whole, to set forth this loving act of kindness, because there is such a need for it today, to break through this culture of divide.
Yeah, we do have a Facebook group for the ministry. We could share our stuff there. I think we're all on Facebook.
Yep. Yeah, whenever you post something, I always share it.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, and the inspiring messages could be posted there.
Yeah.
And then they would go out to our readers or the readers, and then suggest to them to pass on the same inspiration.
Right.
I loved your story of the butterfly's wings. I had never heard that, but it's the same thing, we can use our social media to inspire others and get them to inspire the people they're around. Almost run a stealth project. Get them inspiring people when they don't even know they're doing it.
Well, what would be interesting is if we could find a way to take snapshots of befores and afters. Like you said, when you witnessed the reaction of your gift was even more compelling, right? To keep doing it because it just meant so much. It's not always easy to capture those moments, but just the mere fact that we're doing it, and maybe we get feedback somewhere else along the way, it comes back, trickles in somehow, where we can give testimonial to how it's being received. Could be interesting.
Yeah. So Kevin, I just Googled the butterfly effect, and basically it says the butterfly effect is a theory that a butterfly flapping its wings in one part of the world can cause devastating consequences in another part. Previously, the term was weather related, but nowadays it is a metaphor for how a small and insignificant event can cause a major change in circumstances. So,
all right. Well, we have an intern who's going to redesign our branding so we can add that to the card, and be kind of, I think we all like the circle with the hand and the dove as the icon for the ministry, but we're going to change up the fonts and the color scheme, and maybe the cards can be a piece of that, or vice versa. We can have it all be another launch. We have 55th anniversary coming up in October, so maybe that could be another celebration. Oh, and Terry also said that she would like to partake in whatever we can do to honor Charlie, because she didn't feel like there was enough done at the birthday / celebration of life for Bobby. And so wondering maybe for that 55th anniversary, we can honor him somewhere with a plaque or something to just acknowledge who he's been to the ministry.
Absolutely. Yeah, very important.
And maybe these cards can be an inspiration to him too, because he wants his legacy to move on. And when I reported that we didn't have any attendance last week, he was very sorry about that. He says, we've done the best we could. And it's like, well, don't give up on us yet. It's just
Too,
summertime. What's
I was
that?
shocked to hear. I was shocked to
Yeah,
hear.
it's the first time I've ever experienced it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, maybe
So,
perhaps the cards will inspire people to take a look at the Madonna ministry. Maybe it's an opportunity to,
yeah,
put our Madonna ministry there, and it's timely. We can time it with when the website is, redone, and we're making sure that we make an initial good impression first, impression kind of a thing, sure. And that's great. And then Nikki, thank you so much for going on my Facebook photos and picking that photo
I
of
loved that
me.
photo. I had tried 2 or 3 other things, and it's like, that's not quite right. That's not quite right. Let me go look some more. And it's like,
That was
oh,
that
this
was a
one fits.
that that was a pleasant surprise. And I was sitting in Sedona, anyway, over by Slide Rock, down from Slide Rock. I remember that
Okay.
exactly, that picture. But
Yeah.
yeah, that definitely captured my zen in that photo. So thank you for
Yes.
that.
You're
That was
welcome.
nice. And in a much younger version. I'm like, damn, was I ever that young?
I know, I'm going through the same thing. It's like, oh, really? Okay,
Well, I appreciate you all, and I hope that this provided food for thought for
definitely.
some of you to go deeper and realize that we again, really my key takeaways are we matter as individuals, we matter, and we make a difference. And I think it's too easy for our human experience to just talk us down, dim our light,
Yeah.
plateau, stay stagnant, and not move forward. And really, my intention for today's talk was, not to just stay put, but push forward and
Yeah.
do more as is feasible, for sure. And at the same time, I want to say thank you. I wish I had known all of you years before in the journey, but thank you for the work that you have done and continue to do, and I hope that you continue to do.
Thank you. Beautiful, beautiful service. Thank you, Kate. This was stellar. I'm inspired. I think I went up another notch or two from when we
Uh,
started.
Me
Good,
too.
I hope so. Yeah,
Yeah.
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 And people, Nikki, like people like yourself and I and Katrina, who are still embroiled in that daily grind of needing
Yeah.
to work.
Yeah.
It's very challenging not to succumb to the overwhelm.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
All right.
all right, you guys, thank you so much. Have a
Thank
blessed
you.
day.
Ciao.
Bye-bye.
Have a good week.